Hey everybody, welcome back to GWN. I'm Nox, your host. We're going to jump straight into replays today because I got a whole bunch of them for you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 replays. Wow. About 10 minutes worth of them. And we start off here with one with SJ, and he's running a Shimi or Minion Drop against a bracket base. Really, these bracket bases are all very similar in their layout. Some of them may adjust the brackets up or down. They may have an opening. They may have it all closed. You'll see this one's got a couple of additional legs down at the bottom of it. But when you come right down to it, a bracket's a bracket's a bracket. And even though there are little things that set them apart, generally speaking, the same kinds of attacks are what's going to get you through these bases. So he's going to come in with a Shimi, and he starts off by dropping his beta minions to take out a couple of those straggler buildings down at the bottom. Always a good idea to grab a few of those easy percentage points, just so you know you've got that little extra oomph at the end of your attack. And then he hits it from the top corner and just kind of works his way across the base. Now, this is risky because sometimes when you do this, you won't be able to make it all the way through and get to the builder hall. But that's not a problem in this particular case. He gets through just fine. It just takes a few extra seconds to do it. Those dropships manage to last long enough, and the reason is because the biggest threat to the dropship, the air bombs, is all the way on the other side of the builder hull. So he's able to get through. His battle machine is able to get down there, take down the builder hull itself, and he sweeps a few extra percentage points along the way until he finally ends up wrapping with an 85-2 out of this one. Now that's a pretty high percentage to be getting at this level. All of these guys are playing. Well, this is end of season, so they were anywhere from 5,000 to, say, 5,500, give or take a few here and there. So all of them are pretty well up there. Here's Dorian on one of these eyebrow bases. I've got 3 replays from Dorian in here, and all 3 of them he uses GiBoCCA, and they're all variants of this twobrow base, as I call it, where you've got the little eyebrow, the Wario eyebrow at the top and the bottom. But if you watch, he runs his kind of signature move here with the Super P.E.K.K.A across the top, going in to distract and take out the giant cannon. The bombers go to break up the walls to create his path as opposed to the path that the base designer wants him to use. And I think, I gotta say, this is probably the most consistent attack against this base that I've seen. And I've seen lots of them. I've run a bunch of them myself. Simple fact of the matter is, this is one of the most common bases that you're going to find all through the 4000s. It pops up like crazy. I'm not really quite sure why it got to be so popular, but it definitely did. And here Dorian he just rocks it, man. I mean, he pulls a, this one's an 81-2, and he's got another one coming up that's a 77-2 and then an 83-2. So definitely a consistent performer against these eyebrow bases. Works really well. We'll speed this one up here. He's got the last little bit with the bomber here he'll pull off. This is why I tell you guys, I say it over and over, make sure you keep those bombers alive if you can, because they will get you an extra 5 or 10 percentage points at the end of your attack. There it is, 81-2. I think it was, what, 7% if I remember correctly? Not too bad. So here's a box base, and as we often say, friends don't let friends run box bases. This particular one, Diogenes is going to go ahead and hit it with Shimi. Pretty effective. I like to use ground attacks against these bases because the inside is so open that it caters really well to either GiBart or even GiBoCC. I'd imagine a GiBoCCA would probably do okay, although I don't know. Wanting to go after that giant cannon up there, you might have to come in on the side with your Super P.E.K.K.A. But in this case, he comes in with a Shimi, works out really, really well. The dropships manage to stay alive just long enough for the beta minions to work their way in there and take out that builder hall along with a bunch of buildings in the middle of the base. So it's a good solid strategy to walk away with the 70% 2-star, which is usually enough to win. I've been talking with some of the guys over the last couple days here, and they're saying that the competition's gotten a little bit stiffer when you get further up the trophy rankings, up into the upper 4,000s and lower 5,000s. Right now, oh, here's another twobrow base, basically, although the bottom is a little bit different. Right now, I think the global top is 5,400, somewhere thereabouts. So you still got some pretty solid contenders over 5,000. There's a lot of spankings going on, to call it at that one. But even throughout the upper 4,000s, you've also got a lot of max and near max bases. And we're fairly well into Builder Hall 8, so by this time, free-to-play players actually have their defenses maxed if they've been really dogging it hard. And a lot of them have level 6 and even some level 7 walls. I would say if you're free-to-play and you have been playing it since the beginning and you've been going non-stop hitting all the clock tower cycles and all the clan games and all the events and so on and so forth, you probably will have all of your defenses maxed and maybe even all level 7 walls. Not a lot of free-to-play players have level 8. I think some of them have some level 8 walls, depending on how many of the wall rings they've picked up. But I think that most of them are still on level 7 walls and are just now working on maxing those walls. So give it a little bit more time, they'll be up there too. But that doesn't matter because once you hit the top, you're at the top, man. I mean, these players have got max troops and max defenses, and they're working their way into the upper 4,000s without too terrible much of a problem. Here we got Ben running his favorite, his Shimi. This is an eyebrow base of a sort. Not the two-brow base, but just a regular eyebrow base. Although I suppose if you angled those bottom 2 wall pieces, you could make it a two-brow base. Another one that I think is fairly common, fairly meta, if you will. And Ben, of course, is just really good with coming in on any of these bases, taking out the air bombs and then hitting that builder hall very quickly to get his second star. In this particular case, it's no different. He rocks it right straight through. Ends up walking away with 74-2 on this one. Doesn't get the roaster or the Mega Tesla down, which is interesting because usually if you don't get those down, you don't do as well. But because of the positioning and the way so much of the base was on that one side, knocks it out pretty quick. Here's another Dorian against the two-brow base. These bases are all very similar. Typically minor differences, maybe the arrangement of the firecrackers, maybe the hook is on the right rather than the left. Sometimes the placement of the hidden Teslas or bombs are a little bit different, but they all operate roughly the same. And you'll see that this one, just like the other ones, has that giant cannon up toward the top of the base, if you will, or towards, I guess, it's kind of the left top, if you want to call it that. I don't know, it's kind of hard to say where the axes are on this, but you get the general gist of it. He comes in, takes out the walls, brings in his boxer giants, cannon cars from behind. Super P.E.K.K.A walks across the top and works his way down to the giant cannon. In this case, doesn't matter. Didn't distract the giant cannon, didn't take out the giant cannon. The boxer giants did it for him instead. Sometimes that happens. But either way, it's another good solid hit on one of these two-brow bases using GiBoCCA. And like I said, I really think if you're having trouble with these, learn the GiBoCCA attack strategy because it works. It pulls 75% 2 stars on a regular basis against this base. This particular one is an 83 2-star. Yeah, an 83 2-star. So it's a good solid strat to use when you come up against this very common meta base. And last but not least, we got a regular diamond here. Kongus is going to hit this one with a little regular GiBoCC. So you can kind of watch this and see the differences between how a regular GiBoCC works versus a GiBoCCA where you swap out, swap in your Super P.E.K.K.A for Boxer Giants. This one, he still has the same lineup as a GiBoCCA, but instead of having the Super P.E.K.K.A, he has more cannon carts. And that works well because the cannon carts are obviously the powerhouse of the GiBoCCA attack. So he's managing to sweep his way in, got cannons galore working from all kinds of protected space there. The giant cannon has been focused on the giants and the battle machine. That gets him up to the builder hall, and he's got enough cannon carts to take it down and get a couple of extra buildings along the way. Ends up walking off with an 81% 2-star. So I hope you guys enjoyed these end of season replays. I'll be back with some more stuff in the next couple of days. And if you got any questions, comments, feel free to drop them down below. Let me know what your thoughts are. Always like to hear from everybody. Always do respond. On that note, y'all take care and keep on clashing. Bye-bye now.